I'd like to tell you a love story, a story about my family and how I fell in love with this wonderful country. But just like any good love story, it's complicated. My family and I moved to Fayetteville, Arkansas from Iraq in January 2008 when I was 2 years old. We couldn't have done this without retired U.S. Lieutenant Colonel Barney Morris, a man I would later come to know simply as Grandpa Barney. But let me give you a little background. During the war in Iraq, my father worked for RTI International, a company in Iraq that supported the American troops. At the time, he was Lieutenant Colonel Barney Morris's chief of staff. But like many of his Iraqi friends who worked with the American troops, my father's life was in danger every day. One day, surrounding militias attacked the U.S. compound where my father and Grandpa Barney worked. Through sounds of heavy gunshots and mortar attacks, my father raced around the compound to make sure that everyone had evacuated. When he reached the building's rooftop, however, he found a despondent but determined Lieutenant Colonel Morris sitting there with an AK-47 in his hand, ready to defend a hopeless situation. It didn't take long for my father to realize that this man's life was in imminent danger. My father urged him to leave quickly and to move to a safe location. Both men will tell you today that had Lieutenant Colonel Morris stayed on the roof that day, he would have been killed. The dangerous situation in Iraq didn't improve, but my father continued looking for opportunities to complete his PhD while being an instructor at the University of Wasat. In 2006, he received an academic scholarship to continue his studies in the United States. It was his ticket to safety and to a better life, so he called Grandpa Barney for help. He asked my father if he'd like to come to Arkansas. My father had never even heard of Arkansas before, but he immediately said yes to a safer life for him and his family. The process of getting out of Iraq was draining on my young parents, both financially and emotionally. They were taking their 3 children, my 4-year-old sister, 2-year-old me, and my infant brother, to a foreign land, away from their family, friends, and support. When we first arrived, it was very difficult for my parents, and at times they didn't know if they could make ends meet. While studying to get their degrees from the University of Arkansas, they both picked up multiple jobs, like washing dishes and prepping salads at the dining halls of the university, all while working on mastering the English language and making sure we kids were loved on and cared for. Their tenacity paid off. Today, my mother, Dr. Hawra Al-Zawain, is a professor of Arabic, and my father, Dr. Adnan Alrubaye, is a professor of microbiology. They are both doctors at the University of Arkansas. And they hope that, thank you. They hope that their story will inspire others to follow their dreams too. So what about that American soldier who worked to help my family find a safer and better life here in the United States? Well, that Lieutenant Colonel Barney Morris, or as we call him, Grandpa Barney, also received his bachelor's and master's degrees at the University of Arkansas. He gave a speech a few years ago at a ceremony where my father received the top teaching and student mentorship award. Grandpa Barney said, "There are 2 things I am most proud of in my life: my service to the United States and bringing Adnan and his family here." I'm so happy to inform you that both Grandpa Barney and my parents are in the audience today. May the 3 of you please stand and be recognized. Thank you. My parents have always told me that if they can survive 3 wars, leave their family and culture, and become professors in America, then I can do anything. Now that's a pretty compelling argument, but this brings us to another complicated part of this love story. As I grew older, I struggled in society as a young Muslim Iraqi woman. The struggle continued even when we became American citizens in 2017. 1 year ago, as I was sitting with my friends after school, a boy approached me and asked, "Is 9/11 your favorite holiday?" I was very hurt and offended because it was just one reminder of how I am often viewed in society. But at the same time, I was determined to use this hurtful incident to be an advocate and to stand up for those who don't have a strong voice. For the past year, I have been honored to sing the national anthem at the University of Arkansas Razorback sports games. Little old me, all by myself, in the middle of a gym, singing about how much I love this country to almost 20,000 people. And it's an emotional experience each time I do this. I love it because for me, it is a song about patriotism and the bravery of soldiers like my grandpa Barney. I love this country, and that part isn't complicated. I love it in a way that unless you've seen the alternative to living in this country, you may not even be able to fully understand. When I was 12 years old, I traveled back to Iraq with my family to visit our relatives, and I was heartbroken by everything that I saw. Every day there were blackouts, and we'd have to suffer through 125-degree weather without cool air or any light. If that happened during dinner, we would have to search for each other among the shadows. I was also told not to walk anywhere without my sandals or shoes, because at any moment I could have 220 volts of electricity shocking me through the floor. At first, I was stunned, and I wondered how the Iraqi people could live every day like this in their homes. But this became my new normal for a few months. It struck me that this country was where I came from, and I could have been one of the many children lost to the never-ending violence in Iraq. So, when I returned home to the United States, I looked at my life differently. I didn't have to eat my dinner in the dark. I could drink a glass of cold and uncontaminated water anytime that I wanted to. I could walk around with bare feet without worrying about getting killed or injured from electric shock. I became more grateful for everything that I had and began to take advantage of every opportunity that came my way. And this is why I applied for the NRECA's Youth Tour program. This year, I learned so much about the history of electric cooperatives and how electric cooperatives form a community of people who help each other. When I was in Washington, D.C., I learned that, like my extended family in Iraq, there are still millions of people who don't have access to reliable electricity, but that many electric American cooperatives are helping them. My electric cooperative family plays a huge role in my love story with this country. I am very grateful for the support that I received from Mitchell Johnson and the rest of the Ozarks Electric Cooperative team. They inspire youth like me to use our voices to take action. I would also like to thank Beth Knudsen, J.D. Lowry, and of course, Zareda Hoffman for their continued support throughout my entire journey. And to my grandpa, retired U.S. Lieutenant Colonel Barney Morris, I will forever be grateful to you for giving me, a young Iraqi-American immigrant, the opportunity to dream big. Our purpose as members of the electric cooperative community is to help one another. My father saved Grandpa Barney's life nearly 17 years ago, but it's because of their friendship that I am speaking with you today. Just one act of kindness can ripple and change the lives of others. So, as a community of cooperatives and as human beings, what can we do to help each other? Because you never know who you may inspire or whose life you may save. You could be helping a young girl like me from Iraq to become a leader, because I am ready to make a difference in this world now. Newton's law of energy states, energy can't be created or destroyed, only moved. There's this energy inside of all of us that has always been there. We didn't create it, and it cannot be destroyed. So, what are you going to do with your energy? Are you going to be that positive force that changes the world for good? Because that's my plan. But I can't do this alone. I believe that if we work together, and if you give youth the opportunity to lead, we can improve the lives of people across the globe. Thank you.
Rukaya, I want to begin by congratulating you on being chosen as YLC's 2023 spokesperson. And I also want to thank you personally and on behalf of our entire audience for sharing your story with us. I was really struck by the image of you in Iraq with down power lines, no electricity, and living in constant fear for your safety. In what ways did that deepen your appreciation for Ozarks Electric Cooperative?
Absolutely. Thank you for your question, and thank you to all of you for your support in our youth. I would say when I first moved to the United States with my family, Ozarks Electric was our first taste of reliable electricity. Coming from a country where I literally saw children playing in the streets next to downed power lines, playing soccer like I do here in America, that leaves an image that I'll never forget. Here in America, we have this community of our cooperatives, and we help each other. And that's truly special. And Ozarks Electric has been very, very supportive of me. And not only that, they inspire to help people around the world too. And that's something that is very, very special.
As you know, our PowerXchange theme is It's Time to Lead, and you've been selected to not only represent the state of Arkansas on the Youth Leadership Council, but you're also the national spokesperson. So what does leadership mean to you, and what are you hoping to accomplish in 2023?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to hope to accomplish being a leader. And of course, that's the theme this year, but also being empathetic, because what a leader is someone who thinks about others. You're not just a leader if you just do the job and you leave. You must be there to be for your members and learn about their families, their stories, their cultures, and their backgrounds. Something that I've always said is a leader must aspire to inspire. So what does that mean exactly? You need to aspire for greater. You need to aspire to be there for your members. You need to aspire to achieve greater things. And by doing that, you inspire others to become leaders too.
Okay, I wish we could talk to you for longer, but we only have time for one more question, so I'll make it a quick and easy one, and I think that I already know the answer. Continuing with the leadership theme, who in your life do you look up to most, and in what ways do they inspire you?
Absolutely. Well, I would without a doubt have to say my parents and my grandpa Barney. As I told in the story, my father and Grandpa Barney came from completely different parts of the world, raised completely differently. But they put aside their differences, or rather used them to better themselves as people, to help each other, and to save my family to get here. So I would definitely say that my parents and Grandpa Barney truly left an impact on my life. And growing up and hearing that story, I knew that I would want to be someone who helped someone else one day. Because as I said in my speech again, one act of kindness can ripple and change the lives of others. And that's truly what happened with my family and I.
Rukaya Alrubaye, our 2023 Youth Leadership Council spokesperson. Thank you again to you and your family as well for your inspiring story. Let's give Rukaya another round of applause. Amazing job. Thank you.